The funniest joke on the street is that Robinhood accidentally sold short Cosmos Health and lost nearly $60 million doing so. It's the lack of accountability for me. We know Robinhood has an extensive track record of defrauding retail investors and trying to fight against the small guy. We know their motto is take from the rich, give to the poor. In actuality, it's opposite. It's take from the poor, give to the rich. Not only do they go all the way back to 2021, but we know that payment for order flow was a huge part of their business. Citadel was giving them hundreds of millions of dollars. And that was part of, how they were able to operate, how they were able to get bailed out on $3 billion worth of margin with ridiculous and irresponsible short positions in GME. Or just not even delivering the stock on the back end, which was even more reckless, getting caught up in that. But again, to now sit here and say, oh, well, this was just the position that, we didn't realize and we cut it very quick once we were made aware of it. So if that's the motto and that's really what you're sticking by, which you're lying, that's definitely going to hurt your cause. If this was a very quick cut, or if this was something that you caught very fast, how is it $60 million? A quick cut to me would be 20-30% down on like an options play. If it's a share when it went up 10,000%, that might be an issue. We know that it went from 20 cents very quickly in pre-market all the way to, I believe, $26, and that's ticker symbol COSM. So again, back to the point is, was it 20%? Was it 30%? I mean, if that's the case, then that's around a 200-300 million position. If it was a quick cut that they were made aware of and they got out fast and it was only, say, 10%, what was it, a $600 million short position? I mean, what type of money was being put into a net short portfolio or, a net short position that they were able to transfer hundreds of millions of dollars? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But either way, there's always something suspicious with Robinhood. I don't like their business model. I don't like Vlad or anyone that's running the company. I don't like the people that are funding the company, especially the funds and the institutional owners. I just don't like the business, period. And it really just is the opposite of something that, retail would stand for. We know that all the brokers essentially are for themselves and are trying to make money off of course, us with fees and, let's say like the options chain, for example. But when it comes down to it, Robinhood is like the face of just corruption. Okay. The face that actually fought against the retail quote unquote army or the meme stock error. And that was restricting stocks like AMC and GameStop, BlackBerry, BBBY, Coase, Naked, Nokia, CTRM, Sundial, Express. There was a ton of stocks that I could just rifle right off the top of my head that were all doing really well and were probably crushing brokers, and they shut it down, and created what we know now as, just the swamp. It's just so unfair. And anytime these brokers lose or they get caught up, there's a way to bend and twist the rules. So that's one of the biggest issues we've had is there's no accountability. If you go back and look at one of my previous uploads, you'll see I mention how brokers always have these little glitches or technical errors, right? Listen to what I say. The Cosmos, or when they did the 25-1. Now I'm aware that yes, the company did, botch that. They blindsided the investors, which sucked. But when that all went about, there was a huge issue, right? Most of the people that own the shares of COSM ticker no longer own that share anymore as it changed CUSIP numbers, as it changed the ticker name. However, when you woke up that Friday, there was no new name traded. So 90% of their people were locked out of COSM because they technically no longer own that ticker anymore. So they weren't able to sell the stock. They were supposed to be a new ticker, but there was an error, right? Go figure, just an error. Some people were getting shares of a completely different ticker, a company that had nothing to do with Cosmos Health, completely separate. And they got shares of that company, quote unquote, accidentally. There was some people that were allowed to sell their Cosmos shares of that COSM ticker through Fidelity, but that was only a very small percentage. It wasn't all Fidelity users. It was some. It was at a certain dollar cost average, right? There was all these little stipulations involved. So that's the type of things that I'm saying when a stock goes from 20 cents to $20 and it explodes, and I believe they allowed shorts to cover. That's not for no reason, okay? No wonder everyone's locked out of it. No wonder why there's errors. No wonder why they go sell only when they lose. No wonder why you can't exit the stock or you can't buy the stock. It's not for no reason, guys. So all these things that happen, throughout history, you have to make mental notes of, and I never forget them. So it's really difficult for me to sit there and believe that this glitch or this accident, whatever you want to call it, a glitch or technical processing error, right? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. There was a lot to make off of this, short position, especially, running 10,000%. Unfortunately, they just got caught up in a bad trade, and I think it's better to just own it and move on, than to try and act like, oh, we weren't trying to, short the stock. But of course, you would want to. There was a lot of incentive. I mean, this stock was, the hottest retail driven ticker, in a long time in terms of the amount of volume and attention it's got. So, without a question, I think Robinhood was acting malicious here, and it really just blows my mind how they're able to continue business, how they haven't lost every ounce of credibility from the retail side. I don't know where their client base comes from. I don't know if it's overseas or if it's just very small accounts, but I just could never trust that bankruptcy wouldn't be real for Robinhood, that, they're just going to get bailed out forever. I just don't like the business. I wouldn't want my money sitting in there. But again, that's just me. That's my perspective. So let's take a shift here. Let's look at the chart and see if there's anything to look forward to over the next few days. So pretty much for Cosmos, I think there is a potential to reverse here. And the only reason I'm so confident in saying that from a technical standpoint is the volume. Okay. Really, the volume just is screaming to me that there is a big move waiting here. Now we can go back to where the split was, and that's when we saw massive volume, 120 million. And then we really just didn't see much selling volume. I mean, it pretty much went flat and died, all the way after this reverse happened, or the 25-1. And that raises some concerns to me, because how is the stock selling off so aggressively with almost no volume? And when I mean no volume, I mean relative to the amount of buying volume. I mean, this favored the buy side, 120 million, and then we saw the next day was 35. So it was roughly 4x less than this day traded, and it actually, destroyed nearly more than half the move. And again, when it goes from, let's say, 100 million all the way down to 12, 4, 2, 3 million, and then the stock is down all the way to $4. I mean, it took 22 points and so much less selling volume than it took to jam the price up here off 120 million shares. So I always think about that and how insignificant this selling volume is in comparison to how strong or how aggressive buyers are stepping in. Same thing here. When this starts to sell off, I mean, the high was, 614. I don't know if there was pre-market or anything up to $7. Let's just call it 6. All the way down to 3. They kill 50% of the price. And, for these 10 days here, we're seeing maybe 12 million shares. And then all of a sudden, you just see 1.4 jump to 72 million. I mean, it's insane, the amount of buying volume and buying pressure compared to this. So if we add all these up, we do 10 and 24, it's 35, 31, 13, 72, that's about 140, 150. Call it 150, 155, 155 million volume, and not even 15 million shares over a 10-day span. I mean, look at this. It's insane. Okay, and same point here. As it starts to sell off, I mean, the peak here was what? What's the high? 744, maybe a little higher in pre-market, or even here, 730. And then what? A couple million shares again takes it all the way down. 1.3, 1.4, 1.7. It's just so insignificant compared to, what, 2 weeks ago, where we saw 150 million shares traded in a week. This is just crazy. So I don't know how it's selling off this aggressively off such insignificant volume. And I know I've said it probably 100 times. You probably want to slap me already, but I'm just very like, it really boggles my mind. And now that you see Robinhood's playing in it, who else is involved? It's really interesting to say the least. But I actually want to go on the hourly. I don't know why I clicked the 15. So the hourly here, I think, paints the picture really well. It has this, falling wedge potential. I don't know if it's going to continue. I don't know if we're going to see the bull step in, or if there's going to be, any news that, lights a fire here. But definitely we're seeing this consistent downtrend. We've tried to break out of it. It's came back, touched the top of the trend line. But I don't know if it's going to take the next leg up. I think we're going to start to see some movement once it's above 550. So I'm looking for 550 to this $6 range here at the 50% retracement. If we don't get up in here, I'm not going to talk about it, right? You know how I am with certain stocks. Really in this section is where I want the price to be. If it's not there, if it just continues to trickle down, there's really nothing else I can tell you. Just follow the levels: 433, 390, 301, which is the floor here. $3. It breaks $3. I think you definitely have to worry, but I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. So let's see. Hopefully we are able to reverse and trend in the right direction. Hopefully we get some news or some press or something that gives us maybe an update into what just happened with Robinhood, or maybe some forward-looking statements. So that's my 2 cents on Cosmos Health. I hope you have enjoyed. If you don't like Robinhood and you have any comments or concerns about them, let me know how you feel about them in the section below. If you're a fan of Lad or not, I hope, these will be an interesting section to say the least. So have a great day, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.